Hey everybody, happy Wednesday. We're keeping it real here with Carrie Selby and Nikki Shelton, and we're going to talk about what today, Carrie?
We're going to go in more detail about the Washington State Housing and Finance Commission Covenant Homeownership Program.
Perfect.
It's
So
a lot of
yes,
words.
we have a lot of stuff to talk about though, because it's a kind of a cool new thing that they just introduced. So we're going to be back in 2 seconds. Here we go. Okay. Carrie, you might have froze.
I am frozen. I don't understand why.
We're having I think it's called the heat here in the Pacific Northwest. If you want to go back out and come back on and see if that works, that might work.
I can't even.
But anyway, yeah, we've been having a lot of heat here, which I personally think is fabulous because I took like what 3 or 4 days off. Well, not really kind of 3 or 4 days off, and I went paddling different kinds. I went kayaking and paddling all 4 days. So it was really nice, and I'm happy to be back here though and enjoying the heat. So
I can't even. It won't let me even get out of the screen.
Okay, she's out and she'll be back in. So anyway, we, like Carrie mentioned, we are going to be talking about the Covenant Homeownership Program that we just kind of announced, or well, it was announced actually a little while back, and we're going to go into some more detail about that. Hi, Carrie, welcome back. Oh, good.
Thank you.
So I was just telling everybody what we're going to be talking about again, and it's kind of a cool new program. And I'm sorry, again, we're having issues with files and just computer problems in general. So I'm sharing a screen here today, so excuse the stuff at the top. And actually, I'm going to go like this, and so hopefully it'll blow it up a little bit bigger, and then that way we can give you more detail about. Here we go. So this is what we're talking about, and a really quick synopsis is it's just kind of if you were discriminated against in the past from some of the fair housing guidelines or whatever they're called, this is giving a chance to kind of get some funding to help encourage or increase your chances of getting into the home ownership. Right, Carrie?
Yes.
But it kind of maybe. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about it. I'll let you take over, Carrie.
Yeah, well, there was a group of people that got together that wanted to address the fact that there was a lot of discrimination in housing back before 1968. There were people that were kept out of certain neighborhoods. They called that redlining, where they're just trying to keep certain demographics in certain areas.
And there was steering as well.
What's that?
And there was steering as well, where you encourage people to move to a specific neighborhood because of similar groups of people that were living there at the time. And it was kind of segregated a little bit more so than it is today. So it was kind of a different era and different feel and time frame than what we're used to now, at least in most neighborhoods. So
right. And that's basically the term redlining, is where they specifically kept people within like they would mark it on a map, like the red lines. They want to keep them in this area.
Right. So, or the opposite was steering away from them too, or steering people to different neighborhoods. So there's actually kind of two of them that had to do with that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So there was one representative who was really spearheading this, and that was Jamila Taylor. And they all got together and decided that they were going to put in place an act that would help people that were discriminated in the past to purchase homes now. It's a reparation is what the real name is for it. It's reparations for things that had been done in the past.
Right. Okay. All right. And I'm going to keep looking behind me because I'm looking at my other screen. Sorry. Okay.
That's okay.
But hey, we got it together.
This is the flyer that the foundation or the commission put out. So if anybody wanted this emailed to them, I have it. Would be happy to forward it to you. They're really asking if you were in this demographic that you reach out to them and see if you qualify for the program. And we're going to go through some of the things that would qualify you for this program.
So before we go too far, I'm going to see if I can do this. I'm going to blow this up just a second. There's a QR code on here. Mm-hmm. And if you want to go ahead and if you're watching this, you can take a picture of the QR code and that will take you directly to their site. Right, Carrie?
Yes, it will.
Perfect. So therefore you can go directly right there just from here. So I'll give you like 1 second to do that, or you can go back and watch it again, and there you go. Okay. All right. So we
So
talked
this
about
just
when to
rolled
start,
out July 1st.
right? It's kind of an exciting time. I mean, it gets some help.
It is. And you had actually sent me a podcast to listen to because they did increase recording fees in the state of Washington. And a lot of people were trying to figure out why. And it's because of this program. The funds that are being gathered from the recording fees for recording all of your documents when you purchase a home will be placed into a fund that will help with these down payment assistance loans. So the caveat is you have to have deep roots in the state of Washington, so before 1968. And if you do, then you could potentially be eligible for this program.
Okay, so my next question is, who's eligible, right? Because everybody wants some money, right, to go shopping and get a house.
Exactly.
It's so expensive to do so right now. So let's talk about these eligibility requirements.
Yeah. So they want to make sure, like I said, that you have deep roots in the state of Washington because this is for Washington residents. So this is, I don't know if other states are doing this, but this is specific to the state of Washington. So we just need to make sure your household income is at or below 100% of the area median income. So in Kitsap County, that's $119,000. So if you are below $119,000, then this would be a great fit for you.
Fabulous.
You have to be a first-time home buyer. What a lot of people don't realize is if it's been more than 3 years since you've owned a home, then you once again become a first-time home buyer. And also, if you were in a marriage where your spouse was the borrower and you were not, then you would also qualify as a first-time home buyer.
Okay, you knew I was going to ask that question. How long does it qualify for that? And that was exactly my question. She beat me to it. Darn it. Okay.
So you need to make sure that your parent, grandparent, great-grandparent lived in Washington state before April of 1968.
Mhm.
And they need to, if they did, then they would need to be of Black, Hispanic, Native American, Alaska Native, Native Hawaiian, or other Pacific Islander, Korean or Asian Indian descent.
Okay. Huh.
So it's pretty
Interesting.
broad. It covers a lot of different races that were discriminated against.
Okay, so let me think about this for a minute. So because my husband's mom, she's Asian, she's Japanese, or she was Japanese, right? So would she qualify?
It doesn't have Japanese on there, but I know Japanese were discriminated against. And
But
this
that's
is
kind of an
just
Asian,
the
it's
first.
not Asian Indian though. It's different though, correct? Just
Correct.
curious. Okay,
And
just wondering.
yeah, so this is just the first phase of this program being rolled out. There is another phase that's going to come out that's going to broaden the people that it serves. So
Okay, well, hopefully they add women on there because I was really disappointed not to see women on there because that would qualify all of us women because anyway, that's my own personal view.
it's true.
But no, but
That's my
seriously,
opinion.
I was curious about that because, it's like you said, Asians, especially in this area, I mean, they literally were moved out of their homes and stuff at a certain point. So there was definitely discrimination going on in this area. So I was kind of curious if they was or were not. So good to know that. Okay.
Yes.
The questions I ask.
It's great. I love it.
But we do have a lot of Asian population here. So
We do.
I mean, not
a lot of
just
the military.
Japanese, but other areas too. So yeah. Okay.
So everybody will probably ask why April 1968. Well, that's when the government got together and said, look, this is unfair that people are being discriminated against. And so we need to put something in place that helps to not discriminate. So in April of 1968, they passed the Fair Housing Act.
Mm-hmm.
It did not stop discrimination, believe it or not. I mean, I know this is a shocker, but it really didn't stop the discrimination, even though the law was put in place.
Yeah, I mean, we still see it. I mean, I don't see it as much, but I mean, you still see traces of it today, and on so many different levels and different ways. So absolutely, it doesn't stop it. Just do your part. That's my advice for today. My political 2 cents. Carrie's like, oh my God, some things that Nikki says. Anyway, continue on. Sorry.
No, I love all the feedback because it is important that we do our own part because you never know who's watching you and how you treat other people. So
just treat people kindly. It's a really easy concept. Just be kind, be respectful, and life will be good to you. At least that's my
Exactly.
opinion.
And we all have our moments. We're going to have our bad days, but if you can, for the most part, spread that out there, it does make such a difference.
Yes,
So,
peace, right?
yeah, peace, love, and happiness.
Yes, love all that.
So, a lot of people will ask, how does this help these homeowners? Well, or future homeowners. It's very much like the other down payment assistance programs that are offered by the state commission. This one, however, provides an even larger down payment amount. So the down payment amount is 20% or up to $150,000. So this
Wow.
is huge. It's going to replace, if people want to go conventional, they can drop mortgage insurance. Their rate pricing is lower than some other products as well. So this is really a great way for people to be able to get into a home. And guess what? You can use this with another down payment assistance program. So you can
Oh
use
my God,
one
that's
for the down payment
amazing.
and one for the closing costs. Now, it would be a third lien on your property, so it's a lot to pay back from the equity in your home as you build it. But if you're a person that needs to be able to get into a home, you have a very low income and you're really in need of assistance, this is a great way to get you into a home.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. So you get this assistance, right? Let's say you get both the down payment assistance and you get this Covenant Homeownership Program assistance, right? So you get both of those. They go to a lien against your home, but your home is still going to be building equity. So
Oh, yeah.
so as you build up your equity in your home, I would think you would still be making money. I mean, yes, you're going to have to pay that chunk back when you sell your home. But if you're like most people and stay in your home for several years, usually you start going in more into the green than the red, right? Like you start making some extra money on it. So,
Oh, absolutely. And you're a homeowner.
yeah, that's
And
a
the good
huge
thing
thing.
is it has 0% interest. It's what we talked about before. It's a silent second. It's money to help get you into a home. It's an assistance. It gets you in there. And then once you either refinance your home or sell it, whatever you borrowed goes back to
Perfect.
the finance commission. So it's a great, great program.
Okay, so I'm going to reiterate what you said, just so I make sure I have it right. So you have to have grandparents or parents in the Washington state area prior to 1968 of April, correct?
Yes,
You have to be a first-time home buyers.
correct.
You have to be one of the classes that we mentioned, and I'm going to pull that back up because there's no way I'm going to remember every single one and whatever. So you have to be Black, Hispanic, Native American, Alaska Native, Native Hawaiian, or other Pacific Islander, Korean, or Asian Indian. Right?
Yes.
And your household income has got to be below the 100% of the area margin, which you said is about $119,000, correct?
Yeah, that's a lot of money. So, I mean, it's a pretty high threshold for income.
I mean, yeah, and you could be definitely making a nice living for yourself and still being able to qualify. This is an amazing program, and it's well deserved, in my opinion, too. So I'm glad that they're
Absolutely.
doing it. Did I miss anything? Nope, just want to make
I
sure.
think there's one
Oh, sorry,
more. Yep.
I'm flipping
And
through
so
the
this
screen and I
is
do that way
where
too fast.
that's okay. This is where it gets a little sticky.
Okay.
You have to be able to provide proof that your family member lived in the area and also was discriminated against. I'm sure that we're still trying to figure it out. This is brand new, like I said. I'm still learning it. I have the training for it on the 22nd. It got released yesterday morning, and by the time an hour passed, the first two classes were already completely full. I couldn't even get in. So this just shows how many people are wanting to jump on and help people out with this program.
Absolutely.
So you have to provide, it will say here, home buyers must provide documentation of the residency and race, ethnicity of the person, whether the home buyer themselves or their parent, grandparent, great-grandparent, who lived in Washington state before April 1968.
So I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking you probably, if you were to provide a birth certificate, like let's say it's your, mother or father who was deceased or something, a birth certificate, a death certificate showing up where they lived, or at least some type of where they lived during that time in Washington.
Yes.
The discrimination part, that one's going to be the interesting one of this, don't you think?
It is, but I'm sure that people can write a strong letter to say what it was like when they lived before 1968 and how it impacted them. They were forced to rent. How horrible is that the American dream is to own a home and you are not even given the opportunity to do so. The one good thing is it says on here that they have people that can help you gather the documentation. Obviously, they must know resources to go to in order to get this. So it's very great to know that there are people that will be backing you up and helping you out.
Okay, so one more question. I don't know if you're going to know the answers because it is such a new program. What happens if you're like you had a mixed race grandparents? Do we know, like, would the one who wasn't, or like, would they still qualify? Like, so let's say my mom was or my great grandma was Black or something, and she lived in Washington. We all had all the other qualifications, but let's say she was married to a white guy or a Chinese guy or whatever, maybe somebody who didn't fall within those classes right now. Would that person still be eligible?
That's a really good question, and I'm sure something that needs to be addressed.
Okay.
I don't know that because, if you were most of the time, if you were married to someone who was white, there was still discrimination.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that was really harsh. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, that is a great question and one I'm going to write down so I can ask. But people were still discriminated against if they married outside their race, which is just horrible.
Absolutely. I mean, I remember, I was a little bit older, but I definitely remember, like people dating other classes or something. It was like, oh, you're doing what?
Yes.
And it's obviously I'm quite old, but it hasn't been that long ago, but yes, that was totally a thing at that time. So, and I think it went in all different directions. So, we have it. There we go. Those are my questions today. So we have questions to find or answers to find out to our questions because I don't know. That's good things to know about.
Most definitely. And like I said, at first I was like a little confused when I heard the podcast because to me it was a little biased.
Mm-hmm.
But when you see how everything's rolled out and how this really can help people, it's a game changer. It really is. In fact, I have somebody I'm working with right now that this is a perfect fit for. Perfect. So I think it's just amazing that we keep on evolving and keep on coming up with ways to be able to help serve people. And
especially since there was so much that, there wasn't the opportunities that there were. So, this is something that can kind of help fix that situation. Nothing I think will ever fix it in its entirety, but at least going forward, it kind of helps even the playing field a little bit. And so awesome. You got our phone numbers there. You know how to reach out to us. Thank you guys for joining us today. That's all we got. And we will see you all next week. Same time, same place. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.
You too.